Welcome, Facebook, to today's Lunchtime Live. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to be talking about some dangerous relationships today. Those relationships between empaths and narcissists. You can have a dangerous relationship anywhere on that spectrum, but let's get Instagram on with us before we get started. And if you're already here, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to go live here with Instagram. Welcome to today's Lunchtime Live. Today we're going to be talking about those dangerous relationships. We're going to be discussing empaths, we're going to discuss narcissists, and we're going to discuss how those two can sometimes attract each other and sometimes come together, and it's just not a very healthy situation for either side, really, but especially for those more on toward the empath side of things. So welcome. Thank you for showing up again today for lunch. It is always a pleasure to be here with you. If you see some, we have some new additions to our house. We have, I don't know if you can see Ladybug now, but she was sitting right behind me. We have two little kitties, and they are just getting to know me. So they may be around. I'm hoping they're going to behave today. So I wanted to start out today by kind of clearing up something I've talked about before around boundaries before I get into what is a empath and what is a narcissist and what is the relationship, how can you tell if you're in one, what is the whole range, the whole spectrum there, we're just going to talk all about it, okay? We're going to talk about relationship balance. And before we start, I just want to clear up something that I've said around boundaries. And if you've heard any of my previous Lunchtime Lives, we've talked about letting love decide, letting love help you decide who comes and goes into your people room, into your experience, into your life by, when you think of that person, send out loving thoughts only. You're not thinking, oh, you're not scared of them. You're not thinking, oh, they're a horrible person. Oh, I need to get rid of them. You're not thinking those thoughts. You're thinking loving thoughts. But what I also want to say is when you are letting love decide, meaning you're listening more to your heart, your love is coming up through your heart. So wisdom and the right answers and the right actions will then come from that. And that's the point I want to make, is that it's not just loving them and then allowing any behavior into your experience, especially those harmful behaviors that can hurt you mentally, emotionally, or physically. It is saying, I'm going to love you regardless. However, I'm also going to listen to that guidance that I get from being in that space of love. I'm going to listen to that guidance, and I'm going to take those actions that are coming up from that guidance. And those actions may be to say, you know what, I either need to set a really, and one of my clients used this term this week, and I absolutely loved it. She said a radical boundary. And I was like, I really like that, because it was like, it's a hard line. It's a hard line in the sand saying, this is hurting me for whether it's I can't handle you or you can't handle me, whatever the issue is. I'm not placing blame. I'm sending love, but I'm saying at this point in time, this is not healthy for me, and an action is required. So it is good to listen to that. You'll kind of feel it in your spirit to say, yeah, I don't think this is good for me to be in their presence. I'm not judging them. I'm not blaming them. Nothing like, I'm not hating them. There's no resentment building in me. It's nothing like that. I am feeling guided by my own spirit, by love, to say this at this moment, at this time, is not a healthy situation. And it's okay for me to walk away. Sometimes walking away is the answer. It just is. So I just wanted to clear that up, because I know I've never really said it in that way, and I didn't want y'all thinking, oh, well, just let love decide, and then I'm just going to be a doormat and just allow any type of mistreatment or behavior or anything like that. And it's not. It's just, I want you to come from love, because I know sometimes we want to blame them, but it's really something going on in us. So to just give you this blanket answer of, yeah, just shut everybody out that you don't like how they treat you, that's not the that's not the right answer. But if you come from love, if you're not hating and you're not, feeling like the victim and you're not doing all of that and you're just coming from a place of peace and love, and you allow that inner voice to come up and tell you what to do, to inspire you what to do, you'll just feel it's right. You'll have total peace about it. It won't be an internal struggle. You may have some fears about doing it, and we're going to get into that, but you'll kind of feel it's just the right thing to do. It may be a hard thing to do, but you'll feel that it is the right thing to do. Okay, so I've said that, and I feel better about that because I don't want y'all sitting around thinking, okay, well, I won't do anything. I don't have to do anything. And that's not true, because Spirit does inspire you to right action, and right action comes out of that love space. So, said that, done that. Now, let's first start. All right, I want you to look at, we're just looking at a spectrum. We're looking at a range of behaviors, and we're looking at a range of coping skills, and we're looking at a range of different minds and how different minds interact and how they behave and how they cope. And we've talked a lot about, the health types and how they kind of sit on this range somewhere. And when you hear people talk about narcissists, they'll talk about a spectrum. Like there's we all can have manipulative tendencies. We can all have behaviors that can seem toxic or actually be toxic or hurt other people. We can all fall somewhere on this range. And then you've got the extreme cases, is what they call narcissism. So sometimes you'll be reading things and you'll be like, oh, I do that. Oh, I do that. And that's good. That's good that you recognize it, because if you recognize it, you can be like, oh, I can change that. That's not really a healthy behavior. That's not really a healthy coping skill. That does not make you what we label like the extreme personality disorder or narcissist, okay? If you haven't watched Dr. Les Carter yet, I highly recommend him, and he's actually starting a webinar. I saw it announced on YouTube today for empaths and narcissists. So he is doing, hey Sandy, he is doing an actual webinar about this. So that would be a good thing to get in on and watch that, because he can go more in depth about this. I just want to give you kind of a basic overall knowledge and some ways to know where you stand and kind of what is, yes, thank you, JSG, she's always there for me, where you stand on the spectrum and how to cope with it, or how to get out of these sticky situations if you're in one. If you're in one, I am so sorry. My first experience in that type of toxic relationship was at 15. It was my very first boyfriend. So unfortunately, it was not my last, but it was such big words today. May have to hide in the basement. Don't hide, Kelly. We're all good. We're going to take it easy. So when I say narcissist, I kind of cringe when I say that word, because a lot of times when we look up things or we Google things or we read things, it can be a scary topic. It can make you afraid of these people who are really just big bullies, basically. They've just learned some bullying behavior, and we can build up a lot of fear around it. And I don't want that. And I also don't want you making them an enemy or a bad person or a monster. We're not making monsters here. There is enough fear out in the world without me giving you more of it. What I want to do is not make them bigger and more scary, but I want to actually minimize them, shrink them down to the truth of what they really are, so that you're not afraid of them. You actually can see them through eyes of, oh, wow, I kind of feel sorry for you. It's like, I'm not scared of you. Like, I mean, I could be, because I know you could make my life a living hell if I allowed it. But if I have knowledge and I have an understanding of what you are and what I'm dealing with and your tricks of the trade and your tools, if I can recognize your tools and catch them, even though they're kind of sly and they're hard to catch sometimes, because that's part of it. There's a term called a covert narcissist. It's like, it's so so slick you don't even see it coming. So, but if you can get empowered and you can, the more knowledge, the more of these things you watch me, you watch Dr. Les Carter, you watch, there's a thousand things out there. Just don't scare yourself. That's what I'm trying to get to. Don't let this make you afraid of them and try to avoid it, like just shut yourself off now. Now I'm not going to deal with any people because I don't think I can cope with the narcissist out there. No, 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 no. We need you out in the world, standing up nice and tall and strong. You don't have to be forceful, and you don't have to be a bully, and you don't have to knock people down, but you can stand strong in yourself, and you don't have to be afraid of these people. If you know their tricks, if you know what they're doing, you know what they're up to, you can step away from it easily. You can say, okay, this isn't about me, which is one of their tricks. They'll make it about you. There's something wrong with you. As soon as they make you doubt you, now you're kind of tangled up. That's the first tangle. It's a big, messy tangle that happens when you get involved with one of these types of personalities, and it's self-doubt is the big culprit here. So if you can get strong in your confidence in knowing their tricks and how that they make it seem like it's you, then when do nice people get walked? Why do nice people get? Well, we're going to discuss all that. Why nice people get walked on. So don't be afraid. That's the point. I want you to be empowered. I want you to get some knowledge about this and see them not as these big monsters, but basically as these little children who are scared and have an addiction to control. That's how I'm going to say it. I don't know if anybody else says it like that, but that's how I see it. They don't feel safe unless they are in control. And to be in control, they must be on top, or better than, or superior in some way, if not in every way, to you and everyone else. And they will defend that position and tear you down. I don't care how much you think they love you, or they say they love you, or they may actually, you can feel love from them sometimes. Here's Ladybug. Isn't she cute? Isn't that Ladybug? Okay, go. Oops. Just dropped her behind the couch. She's okay. She didn't fall all the way through. Anyway, I totally lost my train of thought. What was I saying? Somebody tell me. Really, it's just gone. I don't know what I was talking about. Somebody. Let me look on Facebook. Anyway, I'll just jump in somewhere if y'all not going to tell me where I'm at. So to not be scared of the narcissist, that's what I was talking about, and to see them as this bully who has this addiction to control, and they need to be on top. So they may feel like you're thinking that they may love you or they may care for you, and they actually might, like part of them actually might. But if you step on their territory of being better than or in control, they will tear you down. They will attack you mentally and emotionally, and you won't even know what hit you. You just find yourself laying in the floor somewhere in a daze, not knowing what in the world just happened. It's a very, your mind just, I've been in it. I've been in that, you have this conversation, and it seems like such a nice, calm, peaceful conversation because they know how to control their tone of voice. But it's the words that are coming out that is making you think, oh my God, am I like, it makes you sound like the most horrible person on earth. It's a very passive aggressive thing without actually saying it. It's a lot of implications. It's a lot of under the, it's like little stabs here and there where you're like, oh wow, really? Do I do that? And then you start questioning, and that is the door. As soon as you start questioning yourself, now the door is open for that self-doubt, and now they have you. Now they are on top, and now you will stay in this dynamic trying to come to a balance. So here we are, we have this empath, and I'm going to get to that. I'm sorry, I'm kind of all over the place here, but you have this empath, and you have this really strong personality. You have this really overly confident, overly superior, and then you have this very opposite of that is no confidence, just usually very humble, very sweet, naive, gullible, helpers of the world. You just want to help. Now, listen, I'm not saying that there's not issues on both sides. Both sides are out of balance, okay? That's why I don't want to make one side the enemy and one side the good guy and one side the bad guy. Both sides need work. If you're over here and you're, I'm not saying all empaths are dysfunctional at all. I'm just saying that there's an extreme on both sides. And what we want to get to is this really healthy balance where nobody's trying to control anybody else. Nobody's trying to bully anybody else. The energy exchange is mutual. There's a back and forth. There's a give and a take. No one's trying to be better than the other. No one is trying to be empaths to the extreme can fall into victimhood. Oh, everybody's doing me wrong. Everybody's so mean to me. And it's like, come on now. You've got some responsibility in this to step up a little bit and to speak up for yourself, to do what you need to do to care for yourself and not expect everybody just to be so, we want the world to be nice, right? But we do have some responsibility in that to say, I have to step up a little bit too. So it's all coming here to the middle. It's not just, I don't want to make one good and one bad, okay? So there's no good or bad here. It's just out of balance. Both sides are out of balance. And the empaths of the world, you caregivers, and I fall in that category. I'm more on this side too, but I also have seen these more toxic tendencies come out of myself. If you've ever been in a relationship with somebody on this end of the spectrum, you can pick up some bad habits from here. You can pick up some, you'll find yourself doing and saying, you're interacting with another person who's maybe on the weaker end of the scale than you. And you'll find yourself manipulating, using the tools that were used on you to now manipulate this person. So none of us are, above it, okay? Like if you're starting to believe you're above it, you may be going over here onto this extreme. Like we have to be honest with ourselves, and we have to look at, we all have an ego. We all have these, we can all get out of balance. And it's good to take ownership of that and take responsibility for that and say, oh gosh, yeah, I did that. I caught myself doing that after like I said, I was in this toxic relationship with my first boyfriend. And I remember we were at the mall, and I'd been in it with him for about 2 years. And we were at the mall, and I was with some of my girlfriends, just best friends, hanging out at the mall like you did back in the 80s, 90s, whatever. Our kids don't go to malls now. It's like, mall? What is a mall? I just go to Amazon. We used to hang out at the mall, everybody. So we were hanging out, and I remember we were trying to ditch her for some reason, one of our friends, and it was just so mean. I don't know why we were doing it, but we were. And I remember she said something like, well, why are y'all trying to leave me or trying to get away from her? She called us on it, and I totally gaslighted her, which is turned it around on her and made her feel shame for even thinking that. I did that, and one of my best friends said, Angie, and it was the tone of her voice when she said it, I felt so bad. It was just like snapped me out of what I was doing, because I knew that that's what I had been living, like my boyfriend did that to me constantly. If I called him out on something, if you call someone out on this extreme over here out on something, they will they don't want, I mean, that would bring them down to admit it, right? That would bring them closer to this center point, and they don't want to be on the center point. A true narcissist does not want that balance. They don't want to come meet you in the middle. They don't want a mutual relationship. So if you're sitting there trying to make a mutual relationship out of something like that, you're going to just drive yourself crazy, because it's not, they don't want that, and they're doing anything and every behavior possible to avoid that. So anyway, when I saw I'd been, dealing with this extreme over here, doing that to me anytime I called him out on something, making me feel ashamed of myself for even thinking, how could I even think that, and what is wrong with me? Are you crazy? Like, you're just insecure, and you're this and you're that, and you believe that stuff, right? Like, I was 15, 16 years old. I didn't have confidence for nothing, I was probably about 17 by then, but I really didn't have, like, I was definitely here and definitely played a lot of victim games, and I had my own issues going on here, but we were like the perfect match, because I was on this end and he was on this end, and he was just like really mentally and emotionally abusing me. And in that moment, I was standing here, and my poor friend was here on the weaker side, because I'd learned some tricks and trades from this guy over here. I had learned some things. So I was standing here in the power position, and what did I do? Like, I abused her mind, and then made her, like, now she's questioning herself. Oh man, I do. Like, yeah, y'all are my friends. Like, why would I even think that? That's toxic. That is not healthy. That is not the way we treat people. If you catch yourself doing that, I'm not saying have shame about it. I'm not saying beat yourself up about it. I'm saying notice it, be aware of it, and start to change it. I tell you that story to tell you we can all get into that place of picking up those bad habits or using those. I'm not calling all of us narcissists by any stretch of the imagination. I'm just saying that we can learn and pick up those bad habits, and we have to be very careful if we've been in one of those relationships and then we come upon someone who's more in a weaker state. I say weaker, but they're on this side of on the confidence spectrum, okay? And we totally take advantage of that. Every single relationship is a different balance. If you look at every relationship in your people room, there's a different balance going on. It's why you're kind of like act a little differently with different people. Do you know what I mean? You carry yourself a little different, or you have different conversations, or because you're trying, if you're in a healthy mental state, you're always trying to reach that balance. You're trying to fill them out and where they are. And if they're standing more on this lower confidence side, if you're in a healthy mental state, you're going to encourage and support that person where they have their weaknesses, so that they're coming closer to you. You're not pushing them further this way and beating them down and breaking them down and shaming them and guilting them and making them feel crazy. And you're not doing that. You're not destroying their confidence. You're recognizing that, I may have a little more confidence than they do. This isn't judgment, this is discernment. There is a difference. You're discerning that, I kind of hold more of the power here, and I have a choice. I can take full advantage of that and destroy this person, or I can use that power for good, and I can help build them up and encourage them and support them and pull them closer to where I am, so that we can have a healthy, balanced relationship. A narcissistic person, or someone who has an addiction to control, I'd rather just call them that, they're not going to do that. They're not going to support you and help you to move closer this way. They're going to see you from miles away. If you're standing on this extreme, especially, you are easy prey, honey. They see you. They know you. They know your tendencies. They know your mind. They know what you will do. They know what you won't do. You are easy target. And they get their, what Les Carter and other psychologists and doctors call a narcissistic supply. They're looking for a supplier if they're addicted to control, which that's just my thing. I don't know if anybody else describes. You'll do anything to get them to love you. You're in the extreme people-pleasing mode. Oh, please love me. Just please accept me. Just please tell me I'm good enough. Please tell me I'm worthy. I don't know how to do that for myself yet, so please do it. And they look like such a super confident person, right? And that's what you're looking for to be safe. That's why you're attracted. That's why you're attracted to each other, is because you want to feel safe, and they look like, oh, well, they know what they're doing. They're so certain about everything. They never doubt themselves ever. And here I am, I can't even decide what I'm going to get out of the Coke machine or whatever. If you're super healthy, you don't go to a Coke machine, but you can't decide what you're going to get at Whole Foods. I don't know. Like, you can't make a decision to save your life, and then you got somebody over here that makes them like no problem. They know exactly what they want and when they want it, and they're so overly confident, and boom, like, it is just like the two extremes come together, and it's just the most toxic relationship made in hell. And they're going to love it, and you're going to get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. Okay? This is not healthy. If you have found yourself here, and you're on any place on this spectrum, on this line that we're talking about, and you're dealing with someone over here who doesn't want to give up that position, who doesn't want to come closer to you, who doesn't want to have a healthy relationship, who wants to stay in that position of control and that position of power, and you're finding yourself having those moments of, I don't even know what just happened. Like, you just totally, you don't even know what to think. You don't even know what you're thinking anymore. Like, you just had what you thought was a normal conversation with this person, and the next thing you know, you can't put thoughts together. You're doubting every single thing you think. You don't know what's true anymore. And that is a narcissist. Like, you're in a toxic relationship that is unhealthy for your mind. And you're going to need to set some boundaries. Now, this isn't always easy to do with someone who is in this position of wants to hold on to this position of power. And if you are Instagram because of a poor connection or something. Let's see what happens. Oh, well. Let's see. I hope I didn't lose it. I think I probably did. Sorry, everybody. Technical problems. Let's see. I don't know how to get. One moment. All right. Let's see if I can try it again. Nope, I can't get back on Instagram. So we're just going to finish on Facebook. Getting away from a narcissistic relationship is not easy, because you are their supply, okay? Like, you are the one feeding this need for being on top, being in. So you're going to have to set what my friend called that radical boundary. And that is not easy. And sometimes that is not even possible because maybe you have kids with this person. Maybe this is a parent and you live in the same house with them. So you have to empower yourself. If you cannot set that radical boundary, if you can't cut ties, and the reason I say the radical boundary is that's usually the most effective, but it's also going to anger them, outrage them the most, because when they lose that supply, they spin out of control. It really, what it does is it terrifies them. It brings up a fear in them that they don't even know how to handle. They're not used to dealing with the low end of emotions because they're always getting their way. They're always, everything's, they're in control, so they're making sure everybody's doing what they want them to do. And if any point that's not happening, they don't deal well. And they usually attack someone when they're not dealing well. Okay? So, if you're in that situation, the best thing that you can do is to empower yourself with the knowledge of when they are pulling their tricks on you, when they're doing those power things that make you doubt yourself, and to get stronger. About this, because they're not going to be feeding you any truth at all. Like, what they're telling you is basically whatever suits them or whatever is going to give them more power and more control. So you have to listen to someone who is not them. They can't help you through this. You have to get some outside information that helps you grow stronger and start to rebuild your confidence. And when you do interact with them, you have to be very aware of who they are. You have to see them for what they are, and you have to see what they're doing, and you have to stay strong in that awareness. Or your mind will go into that. And this is a challenge. Like, I've tried this myself. Like, you have to have a pretty strong mind, because it's very they have a way about them. Usually those people on this end of the spectrum have a way about them. They're usually really charming, and they know the right things to say. They also pick up things from you. Like, as you start to get more knowledgeable and you start to understand them more, you may share some of that with them and give them terms and words, or you're making me feel this or that, and then they'll pick that. They're listening. They don't know this for themselves. They want you to think they do. They don't know this for themselves, so they're listening to your language and your terminology because you're getting smarter and wiser. And then in those moments where they're trying to pull more control, they'll use those. They'll use your very words and say you're doing that to them. And then that'll throw you. You're like, well, am I? Because I know that I learned that this and this happens, and they just said that. That was like, now they're sounding like the outside voices that are trying to help me. So maybe they're right. Do you see how messed up this can really get? Like, it is a very dangerous situation to find yourself in. But if you're there, just know that I don't want you to be afraid. I want you to be empowered. I want you to get the knowledge that you need to be able to overcome this, and be able to get some help for your mind, because it's all about your mind. Your peace of mind needs to become your priority, period. Nothing else. Like, you may think this is the most amazing, and these relationships can be very intense, very passionate, very, like, out of this world, like nothing you've ever known before. But they're extreme relationships, okay? So where they're extremely good, they can also be extremely bad. And so you need to kind of put that to the back burner, okay? Not make that priority. Your peace of mind, has your mental health, your mental well-being has to be the priority. The end. There's other relationships out there. There's other people out there. I know your mind will say, yeah, but this is the one, and these intent. Not worth it. It is not healthy. Maybe this person can take some time to themselves and get more healthy. I don't know. I'm not saying they can or can't. Maybe they can get some help. Maybe they're not all the way to the whole extreme of this spectrum. I don't know. But what I do know is if you're suffering and having breakdowns every other week, you've got to get some type of separation for yourself, whether that be, if you can't do it physically, use that empowerment, use that awareness to be able to get some space mentally, meaning I see what you're doing and that's not getting in this time. I see what you're doing and I'm going to hold strong to these other outside voices, these other outside resources that are building my confidence, that are supporting me, that are encouraging me, that are helping me get mentally healthy. Your mental health, not the relationship, not the love you feel for them. And a lot of you love them. You love them. Not your love for them. This could be a mom, a dad. You love them. You will always love them. This is not about love. This is not about love. This is about something that is toxic for your mind and your emotions. You can't handle it. You've seen you can't handle it. It's tearing you down. It's destroying what little confidence you have. It's not a healthy environment for your mind. You have to say, my mind, or I'm going to, it will destroy you. You have to say, my mind is the most important thing. And then you have to take some steps to get that support, to start filling that mind with some much healthier voices than the information that they're giving you, which is usually a bunch of self-doubt. So if they can keep you smaller and keep you weaker. One thing that I noticed just in my own personal experience was this break me, fix me cycle, where this person loved to break me down, and then once he could see I was just I was in that fog of I don't even know what to think. Then pour on the help, pour on the sweetness, pour on the kindness, pour on the encouragement to fix me now. It is so messed up. And then that's confusing. It's all very confusing. So you're like, okay, wait, this person does love me because now they're trying to, because they created the hard time you're having. Another one, so then they can become the savior and come in and save you and fix you again. And then they get to maintain and hold their position of power here. Break me, fix me, break me, fix me, break me, fix me. It's not fun. It may be fun for them because they're winning on both sides. During the breaking part, they're feeling all powerful because they can get this reaction out. They provoke. They make you go there. They provoke you until you go there, and then when you go there, then you get to be the crazy one. They push you till you go there, and now you're crazy for going there. It's like, well, I don't think I would have gone there had I not been pushed. I don't think I would have. I know the things that I know my reactions are crazy, but you wouldn't stop. They don't hear. It's like if it's not this big intense reaction, which is what they're after, by the way, that's part of the supply. If it's not a big intense reaction, they don't hear you. It's like, that's not enough. Like, I need you to throw something. I need you to yell. I need you to scream. I need you to really show me that I'm getting to you, that I matter that I matter enough that you're going to have this, that I can do that I have that much impact on you, that you would have this much of reaction. And then every chance they get, they're going to remind you about that time you acted that way. about how you did this and how crazy that was. Oh my God, you remember that when you did this? Yeah, you remember when I did that? Do you remember what was happening? Do you remember that I was sitting there minding my own business and then you start in on something and I answer you and that answer wasn't enough? I answer you again, that answer wasn't enough. I answer you again, you won't let it go. I don't know what to say. Nothing I say will satisfy you. I can't get you to drop this. Now I'm getting agitated. There you go. And then you have the reaction. They don't remember all that, and they're not going to bring up all that. They're not, and you probably won't even remember the whole circumstance. You have kind of a selective memory too. It's like, oh yeah, I did do that. Wow, I am crazy. No, you're not. You were provoked. You were provoked to crazy. Million years done that had it not been provoked.